Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. I just ate an ice cream cone, so I'm going to clean my teeth out while we talk. Today, I wanted to talk about something interesting that crossed my mind, and that is being in recovery and going through the motions, like, implementing all this stuff that we talk about, and yet underneath still feeling uneasy, still feeling like there's something wrong. Um, and I experience this every now and then where it's like it's puzzling to me, where I'm like, well, I'm going to my meetings, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm exercising, I'm eating pretty good, like pretty healthy. Why am I disturbed? Um, and sometimes I'm just not even willing to acknowledge it. And the reason why this came up to me today was the meeting. We read from the Thought for the Day, and it was talking about doing the daily inventory and taking a moment to look at, um, where have I been, um, I can't remember all the words now, but selfish, resentful, dishonest, or fearful. Like, and when I wrote those down, I thought whenever I would go through these and go through, excuse me, it's the ice cream cone, little burpees. Um, when I would think through, like, where have I been dishonest today, I would always kind of just bypass that and be like, well, I didn't lie to anybody today. But what struck me this morning is I think there are a lot of times that I'm lying to myself. Like, I'm deceiving myself into thinking that everything is okay when everything is not okay. And I don't admit it. And a perfect example was when I was going through, I left my job for stroke recovery, and I'm doing all the things. I'm showing up, I'm doing my podcast, I'm going to meetings, I'm doing all the things. And yet I still wasn't okay. And I couldn't, it's like I didn't believe. How could you not be okay? You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. What more can you do? And what I needed to do was talk to a professional, and I still do to this day. I mean, there was a time when I'm like, okay, you fixed me. I don't need to talk to you anymore. And I stopped going to her, and then I got not okay again, even though I was doing all the things. And I feel like it's a way of being dishonest with myself, but it's not intentional. It's more of like a character defect. It's more maybe prideful ego type thing. But nevertheless, it feels like dishonesty, that I'm not, just like in my first marriage, like acting like everything is okay, not looking at the problems, not talking about the problems. If you don't talk about them, then they're not there. And that's what I feel like I get into sometimes, is this rut where I feel unease, but I don't know why. I don't know how to pinpoint it. If I were to talk about it, I wouldn't even know what to say. I just underneath there's just unease and I don't know what to do about it. You know, my nose is running now because of the uh ice cream cone too. Um so anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. Beyond going through the motions, talking about the honesty with ourselves and why it's important to continue to take the personal inventory because sometimes things are okay and we go through where have I been selfish, resentful, dishonest, or fearful, um, and I come up empty-handed. Yay, that's great. But sometimes I go through it and I'm like, no, I didn't. Everything's fine. I'm not guilty of anything today. But yet, if I'm really paying attention, I can notice this unsettled feeling inside of me. And the only way I feel like I can notice that is if I do it daily. So, because I know if I do it daily, then I know what it feels like each day, the subtle differences that that outwardly, like if I look at my life, nothing changed from today to yesterday, yesterday to today, but there's still something subtly off. And again, I can distinguish between the two if I do it every day. Um, whether it's like I'm harboring a resentment, like like I keep thinking about something that's bothering me, but I'm not talking about it. Um, a lot of times I think that self-dishonesty, we'll call it, is coming from fear, from it's fueled by fear. And whether that's fear of loss, fear of pre-loss, something I was talking to my psychiatrist about is this fear of is like the prelude, the fear that's attached to the prelude to loss. You know what I mean? And or fear that I'm not good enough, fear of the future, fear of I don't know what is ahead of me. I'm in that same exact situation right now. And I've been struggling over the past couple weeks, and I've been talking about that. I've been talking about figuring out how to pray when you don't feel right, when I feel that unease, praying when I want to ask for what I want. You know, I want my will. I don't want thy will because I feel like thy will is not going to be what I want. And so figuring out how to truly ask for thy will to be done, not mine, and mean it. And over the past couple weeks, I hadn't been. I hadn't been like, I don't want things, I just want things to happen this one way, and that's it. And my sister spent the night tonight, which last night, which was an absolute treat just to have her all to myself. And she listened to my episode about prayer, the one that's called like I'm learning to pray. And we talked about that, and she said something that really spoke to me. And what she said was that God wants to hear what's in your heart. Like she said, he wants to know what your needs are and what your desires are, or something like that. And I said, but he already knows. And she said, but he wants to hear what's in your heart. And I thought, that is perfect. That's perfect. That's what I was missing is I can say thy will be done, not mine, but in the same breath, I can share what's in my heart. And that's such a nicer way of articulating it as opposed to, I want to tell God what I want, you know? So I went to bed with that frame of mind. I went to bed thinking, um, I get to share what's in my heart. And that's just going to nurture my newfound relationship with my higher power. Or maybe it's not newfound, but it's growing. Um, and, and in the same way, I can share the fears that are in my heart. And naming, just like I've said for years now, that when I name the fear, when I can actually give it a name, it reduces its power over me. And it's also a way for me to be honest with myself, to actually call it what it is out loud is helpful to me and and it helps me be able to communicate to the God of my understanding. So, yeah, I just really liked that. It was a great conversation. So, something that I hear all the time in recovery is that I just have a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of my spiritual connect condition. And I never really understood what that meant, but I think I'm starting to live that understanding that this is, as I've said recently, it's a way of life. But it's one day at a time. That's what that is, that daily reprieve. And I need to keep showing up and maintain that spiritual condition by going to my meetings and doing all the things that make me feel healthy mentally, spiritually, physically, all of the stuff, emotionally. But the actions alone are not enough. And I think that's what this episode is about today. It's not just walking through the motions because I know I'm supposed to. I actually have to have intention and honesty paired with the action. And that is where I feel whole. Um, I talked recently about tending to the garden, by um, preparing the soil and then, taking care of the little seedlings through the storms and all of that stuff. Um, it's it's not I don't just show up and water it. I water the garden. I need to get in there and pluck the weeds. I need to really get in there with the intention of having what is growing in the garden continue to thrive. It's not just showing up and doing what I've read in books that I need to do to my garden. Every flower in my garden requires a different type of care. And I've learned that by just going out and planting a bunch of different kinds of flowers in the garden. There are some that my mom taught me. There's some that require me to cut them at the height that I want them to stop growing, and then that's where they'll bloom. The first year I had them, I didn't know I was supposed to cut them. So they just grew really, really crazy high and then bloomed. And they didn't last very long. Like they were falling over and stuff because I let them grow too high. And so my point is that every little thing inside of me needs personal care and needs intention and it needs honesty. All of that matters. I can't just show up. Um, I need to show up with the intention of continuing to nurture my recovery. Um, so I think part of that nurturing is has been figured out now with this idea of sharing with God what is in my heart, because that's some of the stuff, whether it's good or bad, whether it's things that I'm hopeful for or things that I'm fearful of, it's important for me to not ignore them. And I kind of do that when I'm praying and I just am grateful. I don't think that I'm truly admitting what I'm feeling, what's going on between my ears and what are my desires are. Um, and it's not like my episode about I'm learning to pray was like, well, God is not a genie. And this perspective on it helps me know how to talk a little better about what is in my heart in a way that I'm not asking for anything. I'm just sharing about these are the things that I care about right now, and talking about it and being honest. And I think that that vulnerability by talking about my fears and my desires and stuff will build an increased intimacy with my concept of God, and it'll start breaking apart some of that dishonesty that I retreat to um, when I'm by myself, because I had never looked at that before until today. That I have this place of dishonesty that I go to. It's it's really like a blanket to protect me from my fears. I just don't look at the things that I'm fearful of, and I don't look at the things that I want really bad, but I'm afraid I'm not going to get it, So I'm just sitting in this unsettled place. And that's where I've been feeling lately with all the house stuff that's been going on. Um, so I think, in conclusion, just going through the motions is okay when you're trying to um, get that intention there. That's how it started for me, was it started with the action and then the feeling came later. Kind of like I talk about, put a smile on your face and a smile on the inside will come later. That's how its recovery started for me. But after a few 24 hours, I think it's important to recognize those times when I'm just going through the motions, when I'm just showing up, and when I'm lying to myself. And lying to myself, like lying can be leaving things out. That's what I'm doing with myself. I'm leaving out the truth. I'm ignoring the truth. So freedom internally comes when I really stir up what's going on inside, and stop ignoring it. And it's only then, oh, what did I hear today? I thought it was so good. you can only surrender when there's been a battle. And I thought, yeah, like I can't fix something that I'm not willing to see as broken. And that just really struck me. I don't even know what meaning that was or what day that was, if that was today or yesterday. But you can't there is no surrender without a battle or something like that. And I was like, oh, that was pretty good. That's profound. Um, so just remember that recovery is not just checking off the boxes, but there's also a place where we've got to put our heart in it. And I want to put my heart into my prayers too. So it was really a nice day of thoughtfulness to think through this topic. So, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.